Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Last time, we fought our way through the bridge and received our promotion to the actual Rogue Trader from Miri and Air. We have not been through an official ascension ceremony, but de facto, we are the Rogue Trader. So, now that things have cooled down, we need to find a new engine seer, we need to find a new navigator, and we need to find an Inquisitor whom Theodora was supposed to pick up somewhere in this sector. But before we do any of that, let's hang out with people on the bridge. And start by talking to our Voxmaster, I suppose, since she's the closest to us. A thin, pale woman stands among the rest of the crew. There is a thick bundle of cables coming out the back of her skull and disappearing under her ceremonial garment. And you see the grate of a quietly humming Vox where her mouth should be. The woman sees you and bows her head in a respectful greeting. How may I serve you, Lord Captain? Well, remind me who you are. Voxmaster Octavius Victis Suri Otta of the Toliman dynasty, the current Voxmaster serving aboard your vessel. In accordance with the Seneschal's orders, I assumed this duty immediately upon the demise of the esteemed Voxmaster Septimus, who was my grandfather. What are the Voxmaster's duties? I am the ears and the voice of this void ship. I supervise several dozen officers and 3 times that number of support personnel. We receive, send, encrypt, and decode all incoming and outgoing messages through the ship's internal and external channels, and we also ensure clean communications and the optimal efficiency of the crew's Voxcasters. If you ever want to know what worries and concerns your crew are harboring, what your subjects are whispering about local networks after their shifts, and what their leaders are clamoring about over shortwave Vox transmissions, just come and see me. I'll satisfy your curiosity. Have the Vox spirits brought you anything interesting lately? Forgive me, Lord Captain. I have no information that would be of interest to you at this moment. Why do you look so strange? My appearance comes from my heritage, generation after generation of people who spent their entire lives deep in the depths of this void ship. Neither we nor our ancestors have ever left our home, but the same can be said about many denizens of the Imperium's billion worlds. We are used to the silence of the cosmos and the voices of the ship. There are thousands of us, but we dwell far from Lord Captain's upper decks and remain unseen. We are the Voidborn. Where does the word Voidborn come from? Because we are the children born in the void between the stars, be it the womb of a trailing vessel, an orbital satellite, or a forgotten asteroid station. Low gravity, voyages through the warp, and the countless dangers of space travel. Everything others hate and dread is second nature to us. Tell me about the lives of the Voidborn in my crew. To us, the groans, creaks, and murmurs of the ship sound the way babbling brooks and singing birds do to void world dwellers. We hear the ship breathe, we know what it is feeling and thinking. We are a part of the ship just like it is a part of us. We perform numerous functions, and there are many officers among our number. Some maintain order and prevent mutiny, others serve as shepherds and support the crew, and some devote themselves to mending the body and spirit of the vessel. Most of the Voidborn are members of a large void ship dynasties that bear responsibility for a certain aspect of the ship's life. For 300 years, the main branch of the Toliman dynasty has produced the ship's Voxmasters, and most of our subordinates come from the cadet houses of the dynasty. How do you find life on the ship? Life has been quite generous to me, Lord Captain. I am the Voxmaster, and only the best in the dynasty can become one. By virtue of my skills and position, no one has ever denied me anything. Our family claims a spacious section for its domain. I also enjoy long walks through the narrow and dimly lit corridors of the ship, listening to the sounds of her activity, falling asleep and waking up to the chanting of hymns, and admiring the stars beyond, of course. Okay, interesting. So, even the ship life is regimented as a feudal domain and a feudal society. Very, very unusual. How do others on the ship treat you? We look, speak, and move differently from the inhabitants of the planetary worlds. Our way of life, traditions, and quirks frighten these people just like the darkness of the cosmos. Many believe us to be the bringers of ill fortune, but alas, It is the Voidborn who gets the blame for terrible warp phenomena during longer voyages. Vigdis hesitates before continuing. Several years ago, an unfortunate warp jump caused all the food on board to spoil. 15 days later, a hungry and furious crew nearly massacred everyone on the lower decks, blaming us for the misfortune and hoping to restock the ladders with our flesh. I would have been killed during the mutiny had Idira at last not shown up in the right place at the right time. She came to my rescue, and the scoundrels' fear of her was even greater than their fear of the Voidborn. Looks like you're close friends with Idira. Webs of tiny wrinkles appear at the corners of Vigdis's eyes. They only hint that the Voxmaster is smiling. The Voidborn seldom make friends, especially among the captain's entourage. But you see, many consider Idira to be different. I am different too. We have plenty of time in each other's company, discussing Regicide over a glass of Amasek. Regicide, a human tabletop game played across the Imperium of Man, similar to the ancient Terran game of chess. I was briefly worried that my Voxmaster is confessing heresy. Amasek, potent alcoholic drink of varying quality, widely available across the Imperium. Except Idira changed after one incident, and we started to drift apart. The death of Float Captain Theodora made her withdraw even more. I do not know if Idira considers me her friend now, but we used to be very, very close. It is good I can still look after her, in my own way. Perception check succeeded. Interpreting the Voxmaster's emotions based on half a face and a Vox-modulated voice is no easy task. But you managed to catch the undercurrent in Vigdis's words. The Voxmaster is not merely saddened by her rift with Idira, she is devastated by it. Okay, and that was Idira herself who passed the skill check. Very, very nice. Have you ever left a ship? Oh, I did once, and it was dreadful. It felt like the massive blue dome we had would shatter at any moment and fall, and my bones would be crushed by the gravity. Vigdis twitches her shoulders, trying to ward off the flood of memories. The ship is my home, Lord Captain, and I would not trade it even for the bounty of 100 worlds. I see. Let us return to business. Fellowship check. We have a 55% chance of passing. Let's try. Connect me to the vessel's main channel. I wish to bolster the morale of my crew. Damn. Before you can activate the Vox, a deafening screech of static fills the air, making everyone aboard jump to attention. You clear your throat and address the crew with a rousing speech, but whispers and indifferent stares are the only response. So close. Abelard, why do you fail me so? This will be all for now. I leave to serve, Lord Captain. Who else do we have? We have Abelard up close. We have my favorite sister Argenta somewhere here, I guess. Allegedly. Okay, maybe she is even further down. Somewhere here? I cannot see her, but the cursor is pointing this way, so we'll go there. But first, let us speak to Abelard. Abelard surveys you briskly but meticulously, as though he is inspecting you for shortcomings. Then he has a courteous note. Lord Captain. Let's talk about things that may be useful to me as the rogue trader. Abelard nods approvingly. A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars that interest you. Outline the situation in the Coroner's expense for me. What do I need to know and keep in mind? This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation. But I will try to answer succinctly, and if you permit, in my own words. Abelard takes a breath and begins. The Coroner's expanse is considerably removed from the heart of the Imperium. This means that local warp routes become useless within months. Established pathways are regularly subject to attacks from all kinds of rubble, and in the only major port, Imperial frigates find themselves moored alongside pirate vessels. Until recently, the Coroner's expanse could hardly have been called an Imperial region. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. The place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. but ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is promise of victory. The Coronis Expanse is considered rogue trader territory for a reason. Only rogue traders have sufficient military might, audacity, and the rights granted them by the warrant to survive the leap into the unexplored part of the Expanse, and, in the event of a successful outcome, to hold onto whatever they manage to capture on the frontier. Who are the main players I need to be aware of in the Coronis Expanse? In the first instance, you should treat the official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Coronis Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured to the local lawlessness. Rogue traders such as yourselves are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers, they wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Caligos Winterscale and Incendia Bastal Chorda. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them. If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are three factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kasbali Commission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Leech of Footfall and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of Saint Drusus. They are actively building their forces and hold influence over rogue trader Chorda. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Coronis Expanse. Well, we should read about all of these once the dialogue is finished. Or maybe not. Footfall. Massive void ports, yes, I think we've read this. Kasbali Commission. The foothold chapter of one of the most successful crime syndicates in the Imperium of Man, founded in the Calixis sector. Drusians, followers of the cult of Saint Drusus, a legendary hero of the Endgiving Crusade who founded the Calixis sector for the Imperium of Man. And Adeptus Mechanicus we have read about. Hundred, our previous Master of Whispers. What can you tell me about his betrayal? What do you think he'll do next? Abelet winces, as though from toothache, and he makes no attempt to hide his feelings. You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art, but when we next find ourselves in a civilized port fair, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer, with a hole between the eyes. 100 Poiktier. That he committed his treachery and escaped with his life was an unforgivable oversight. Abelet frowns for a moment, then continues. We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was rash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I'm loath to admit it, but the Von Valencia's protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors to this day. His service always garnered my respect, but everything else about him made me want to wring the neck of that two-faced snake. If you're taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Kunrad, prepare to be disappointed. You thwarted his plans, his meticulously plotted and nurtured treachery. He is sure to attempt to strike at you, and he will use his contacts and knowledge of the Protectorate to do so. The only question, Lord Captain, is whether you will be able to anticipate his next steps. That is all for now. I'd like to know more about my seneschal. As you wish, Lord Captain, what would you like to know? Tell me about yourself. What were you before you became Theodora's seneschal? I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis, Abelet replies proudly. No, used to be is not quite right. It is not simply a job. It was my calling, the essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I am still an Imperial officer. I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcements to the Rogue Traders' army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise, then, that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the Rogue Traders' personal council. That must have been quite a promotion. It was a difficult choice for me. But I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and a formidable creative force, one who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the expats. Well, you certainly had quite a story. Uh, Leaving the Imperial Navy is far from easy. Why were you permitted to quit your post? You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. Abella chuckles. The Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy, contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world, and which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in me joining her regiment. Coercion check succeeded. Interesting. Abelard seems to crack slightly under your intense stare. The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and master lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank. Okay, so he was uh, I want to say a bad egg, but he wasn't really. uh, and he was a misfit in the Navis Imperialis even before the Rogue Trader promotion. The way you talk about Theodora, I'm beginning to think you were in love with her. What? Abelard appears to have lost the power of speech. Lord Captain, any allegations of improper feelings on unsanctioned relations are utterly baseless and bordering on insulting. He frows his brow and adds, utterly baseless. Methinks you protest too much. Do you have a family? I'm a widower, Abelard responds demurely. I'm a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, and grandfather is of 11. My family lives on Draconos. None of my children expressed any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship, and I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps. Thank you. I have no more questions. You may call me by my first name if you wish. I thank you for the honor, but I must decline. As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than the regulation dictates. Fair enough. I must take my leave. Until next time, Senator. Lord Captain, Abelard gives you a regulation salute. Oh, Abelard is alright, even though he repeatedly failed me. No, sorry, I need to take a little break. And I'm back. Let us continue. I would like to talk... wait, no, we are not going to Lord Captain's quarters. We are going to talk to Sister Argenta, while I impose my dominance over the bridge. Yes, cannot stop imposing dominance. Hello, Sister Argenta. Sister Argenta looks tired. There are dark circles under her eyes. Her hair is somewhat disheveled, and she moves like she's on edge. Rogue Trader. Before we ask about your request, let's ask about everything else. Tell me about the Adeptus Sororitas. Gladly. There are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. We... Argenta interrupts herself and snorts. I beg your pardon, Rogue Trader. Here I am, talking about what every lesser noble in the Imperium knows. So what exactly are you interested in hearing about? They say the Adeptus Sororitas are the fiercest in their faith among the warriors of the Imperium. Is that true? It is. The Sisters of Battle are of fire led by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. We bring his wrath to heretics, mutants, and other enemies of humanity. We protect the faithful from the unholy and unhallowed, sometimes with words, more often than not, with a bolter. A woman after my own heart. Why is she not romanceable? What a shame. Are all sisters truly as faultless as you say? Even the novices of the Adeptus Sororitas are drawn from amongst the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the best of the best, tested by trials of body and spirit. Yes, there have been cases where a sister stumbled or showed weakness, but do not expect to hear a story of depravity or downfall from me. Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within, and thus those who have trespassed or shown weakness of spirit are given a chance at redemption. They are called Sister Repentia, and may the enemy tremble before her, for nothing can stop a sister of battle who yearns to be cleansed of fault and weakness. Wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered and find repentance on the battlefield. Their lives are seldom long, but a death in the name of purgation is a better fate than to live with a shadow in one's soul. What order are you from? Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calexian branch of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, assigned to the Order's Pronatus. The Order's mission is vital and noble. The Sisters Pronatus protect great relics of the Imperium. We guard them, preserve them, escort them when they are brought onto the battlefield, or presented for pilgrims to venerate. And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics nor the most wicked death world can deter Sister Pronatus when their goal is to return a piece of the great legacy of the Imperium into the hands of the faithful. The Order Pronatus is not one of the Order's militant, and yet you are a trained fighter. Don't let the name deceive you. The Order militant trained sisters to march onto the battlefield as an army. That does not make sisters who belong to the non-militant orders timid and helpless. Both the souls-bringing Sister Hospitaller and the enlightened Sister Dialogus know how to greet enemies of humanity. Their dialogue with heretics is usually quite short, with the last word being a bolted discharge. After a short pause, Agenta adds with somewhat arrogant haste. And my order has all the more reason to be known for the martial prowess of its sisters. We are the keepers of Imperial relics. What would become of our blessed hero's legacy if the Sister Pronatus could not protect it? You said you belong to the Calexian branch of your order. What brought you to the Coronis Expanse? The order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist local Brotherhood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary that has been there since the time of Parsimus Divine, the station's founder. Are there any other members of the Adeptus Sororitas in the Coronis Expanse? None that I am aware of, but the Sisterhood's orders are many and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed, as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Perhaps somewhere in the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, may his path be blessed, my sisters perform their duty as we speak. I wish it were so. Even a single evening spent enjoying prayer and training would bring me joy. I have no more questions about the Sisterhood. Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. It is a virtue to take an interest in holiness. How did you end up on Theodore? Actually, no, let's start with tell me about yourself. About me? She looked surprised. I am the Emperor's daughter, and his servant. What else is there to tell about me? How did you end up on Theodore's ship? Agenta's expression darkens visibly. I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey, but rather what brought me aboard prior to the pirate attack. That story is complicated. It just so happens that She stopped short. I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the arch-enemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, where her crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I had barely recovered from my wounds when the pirates struck. Truly, the servants of evil know no rest. There is no place where we can be safe from their machinations. Okay, arch-enemy is the chaos. What happened to the people who wounded you? Did Theodora's men eliminate them? Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to her ship while I was unconscious, and when I came to my senses, we were flying away. Oh, how I pray to come face to face with with those heretics once more. And it is bound to happen someday. You mentioned making a mistake. It happens even to the best of us, Agenda says heatedly. Then she frowns and lowers her head for a moment. My mistakes are my burden to bear. I will find a way to atone for them. Where did this happen? On one of the recently discovered planets in the expanse. No one suspected that it had already been tainted by the filth of heresy. Had I known it beforehand, of course I would have been on my guard. We could go to that planet and deal with the Chaos Worshippers. Agenta's eyes glint. She hesitates, but then shakes her head with a sigh. The path to that planet was lost. All the knowledge is gone along with the previous navigator. It would take immense effort and resources to rediscover the route. The heir to the von Valencia's protectorate must have plenty of other issues to deal with right now. Perhaps later, when the skies above our heads have cleared. What was it like traveling on Theodore's ship? I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Foodful, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the Medbay. I can't tell you much about the first voyage. I was more focused on prayers and ruminations than on the people around me or the journey itself. During my last journey, Seneschal Versarian stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He is an honorable man and a loyal servant of the Imperium. I think he is as meticulous in his inspections of the logistics systems as he is in his inquiries about the health of the occasional sister of battle aboard the ship. But not all of Theodore's people have earned my trust. Is it Adira? You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira among the God Empress faithful. It is Adira. I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the pirates, and I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy and treason run in this place. Jetta frowns and shakes her head. I'm glad we all made it through the darkest tower. May the day that follows be bright. I don't have any more questions. Thank you. What is it that is keeping you in my retinue? This ship was targeted by heretical pirates, which means that my presence here and assistance I provide to you are my sacred duty. Sooner or later, I will likely have to return to Foodfall to protect its reliquary. But for now, I wish to remain a part of the Rogue Trader crew. It pleases me to have a servant of the Golden Throne in my crew. May the enemies of the Imperium tremble before our onslaught. I enjoy your company, Argenta. I hope that you remain in crew, and that the ship becomes your home. You might be of use to me, and so I have no problem with your presence. I see no place for you on my ship. We'll take you to Foodfall, and that will be all. It pleases me to have a servant of the Golden Throne in my crew. Argenta's eyes flash. So they shall. You said you have a personal request for me? I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader. The accursed servants of Chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in the von Valencians territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the Rogue Trader could meet with the orphans. Interesting. What good would meeting with them do? Make arrangements for a meeting worthy of a Rogue Trader. I will address the orphans with a speech. I will meet with them, no formalities needed. These are the children of people who gave their lives for the von Valencia's dynasty. My consideration is the least that they deserve. Deliver this order on my behalf. The orphans are to be properly provided for, but a personal meeting with the Rogue Trader is too much. Why should I? Do you wish to fill these children's heads with the illusion that the world and its rulers care about them? I will have no part in this. It is between 2 and 3, and I am leaning toward 3. 2 would be the more imperial way, but I feel like a more informal meeting with... since it's children, they would rather have a more informal meeting, I think. But first, let's ask what good would meeting them do. These children are the future of your crew, and one day they too will have to stand against evil and heresy as their parents did. By meeting them, by speaking the right words to them, you will honor the memory of the fallen heroes and light the way to heroes in the making. They will always remember the day when they met the Rogue Trader. Besides, it will bolster the orphan spirits, help them recover from their loss, which can be hard for someone so young. I agree. Let's meet them in an informal setting. I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart. Okay, and we go straight to this meeting, I suppose. Interesting. Also, we are bad at speeches, so maybe that's not so good. Okay. And here are the unwashed masses. The motley group of children and adolescents don't take their eyes off of you, gazing at you as if you were a creature straight from a fairy tale. Our indefatigable sister has been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It is hardly the scholar progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. Scholar progenium, a division of the ecclesiarchy responsible for the upbringing, education, and training of orphans of those officers and nobles who have died in the service to the Imperium. Agenta is standing to the side of the group, next to the youngest visitors. You notice her giving them looks and inconspicuous gestures of encouragement. At your approach, she perks up and announces, her voice ringing. Brave ones! The master of the ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue trader of House von Valencias. Okay. Our options. Address the children solemnly. Children of the brave servants of the House von Valencias, I, the rogue trader and Lord Captain of this ship, speak to you now. Your parents gave their lives for a just cause, and brought honor to the von Valencia's banners and those of the Imperium. I'm proud of them, and I believe that you will become their worthy heirs. Smile at the children. Your Lord Captain greets you, brave ones. Address the chaperones. Give them treats and escort them to their homes. I believe a minute of beholding the Lord Captain is a great enough honor for them. Oh, come on. How much of a scumbag could you be? Since we went for the informal setting, let's smile at the children. Your Lord Captain greets you, brave ones. The children keep staring at you. A little girl who has remained close to Agenta smiles uncertainly. A skinny pale lad tries to throw his shoulders back and stands at attention like a soldier, and several other children follow suit. Only a few teenagers at the far end of the row seem sullen and not particularly impressed. Suddenly, all the sounds in the module are drowned out by a very loud sniff. It has the effect of a dump. You now hear whispers, sobs, and subtle grumbles. One of the older orphans, a teenager with a thin scar across his face, tosses his head back and says bitterly, So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in their dozens for you, noble lord, and you just give us speeches. Agenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark eyes, like she wants both to calm him and scold him for his impudence. Address the chaperones. The comportment of these children leaves much to be desired. I hope that they will be molded into worthy servants of House von Valencias. This audience is over. Address the chaperones. Spank the troublemaker. Put the rest back in their cabins. This audience is over. Address the children. If you have things to say, say them without fear. I will listen. Or ignore the interruption. Rest assured, you won't be abandoned. You will be taken care of. It's children. Like, yeah, we executed a senior officer for doing the same, but these are not senior officers. These are barely teenagers. If you have things to say, say them without fear. I will listen. The boy smiles grimly, not at all like a child. It doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back. And it won't change our fates either. We'll keep sliding away on this ship until we drop and die like our folks. Or worse. I understand your grief and dismay. Your parents died. It is not an easy thing to go through. But they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honorable fate with anger and disdain. When the pirates who killed your parents attacked the ship, what? Pirates? It wasn't our internal heretics, it wasn't pirates. I was there. I took command, I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could. But no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. The strong have the power to decide the fate of others. The weak either obey or die. If you seek a different lot in life, boy, save your grumbling and look for an opportunity to rise above the rest. Ah, the libertarians. Address the chaperones. Yes, both of these options we have seen, and we are not taking them. So, I don't think option 1 would be very good. Well, I'm not taking 3, so it's between 1 and 2. What would go better? One is kind of speaking to the high ideals, which maybe will not fly so great with children. On the other hand, 2 opens us up to, well, why did you have to survive and they had to die? Uh, yeah, I am going to go for the Imperium line, I think, because I am playing a priest-type character. I understand your grief and dismay, but they gave their lives for the truth. You heard the rogue trader. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly. Then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with the Von Valensis emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the seneschal came prepared for any contingency. I would like to think that we navigated our encounter with the children without any major issues. Although it would be nice if we were not holding our rifle out in the open when talking to children. Agenta rubs her temples pensive. She smiles at the younger children, offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the bay. I like that. This was a very nice scene. It gave us some opportunities to roleplay. It let us interact with children. That was pretty cool. It had impact of our past. Well, it's not really an impact of our past decisions because we had no choices to do that to protect any people. But it was nice. I liked it. And we're back. Sister Agenda, any follow-up on that? Even in stillness, Sister Agenta radiates energy, with her dark eyes shining and a slight blush to her cheeks. She's reciting a prayer, and looks at you only once she has spoken the final line. Conrad, greetings. No. Alright. Sister's personal request, done. Checked off. We need crew replenished, we need engines here, we need the navigator. And I think I will start with the navigator, because I really want my navigator waifu with me. Also, I think some of the previous choices for Imperialists that we had are not displayed here, probably because they were bugged. Reputation. I was going to read about the factions. Followers of the cult of Saint Drosset, who believe in continuing mankind's crusade and bringing new worlds into the Imperium's fold. They adhere to the principles of asceticism and high moral standards. Most of all, they value sacred relics and artifacts. Their representative, Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso, can be found in the atrium on foot. Drusians were one of the, I think, either like prestige class or alternate starting class for the Mini Storm Priest in the Rogue Trader RPG. And they were a magic faction in that RPG. Explorators. Emissaries of the Machine Cult, exploring the galaxy on their explorator fleets, full of resources and might, hunting countless serfs, servitors, and adepts. They seek long-lost technologies, hoping to unravel their secrets, so they will be eager to buy any archaeotech you will be willing to part with. The tech priest, Opticon 22, conducts business in the Footfall Void Dog Alpha Row. If you want to see more explorators, you can play the 40k Mechanicals game, which is pretty good. Fellowship of the Void, a loose alliance of pirate factions from the Corona's expanse. They hold nothing sacred and fear no authority, ready to defy even the mightiest of rogue traders and the Emperor's servants. Their spokesperson, Riza Calvaria, will readily take even the most unsavory cargo of your fans. The Adeptus Amasekus on Footfall is rumored to be her favorite home. Adeptus Amasekus? Oh, come on. Funny. Imperial Navy. An ancient and monumental organization with the power to shatter star systems and destroy entire civilizations. The mightiest starfleet in the galaxy. Yet is stretched very thin across the vastness of the Imperium. Here in the Corona's expanse, Commander Captain Servus Thorfast, squadron leader of the Imperial Navy, is pleased to see a mighty rogue trader somewhere in the void of the Furibundus system. Yeah, if Adeptus Mechanicus ever require Microsoft Excel, the Imperium of Men would basically win the next day. Let us proceed. Who else do we have to talk to? We have already talked with Abelard. Breach officers don't have anything useful to say. Servitors. I guess we are going to talk to Idira. Here's Idira. Bridge Technomat, how about you? No, you're just doing your chanting and swinging around that incense thing. Okay. Idira, what's up with you? The tall middle-aged woman stares straight ahead, her eyes vacant, as she rubs the implant at her temple. Her collar is undone, and one of the clasps is on the verge of falling off. Sensing your presence, Idira turns her head toward you and offers you a crooked smile, even as her eyes look right through you. What do we start with? Oh, I think this is... No, actually, I thought this was about the Voxmaster. It's not. Idira, about your abilities. With noticeable effort, Idira focuses her eyes on you. She lets out a nervous laugh. What are you talking about, Lord Captain? You're a psychic. Psychics are only granted the right to live with the Emperor's blessings. Blessing. Have you ever been to Terra? Yes, that. Idira says nothing for a few seconds, and then exaggeratedly rolls her eyes. Look, Lady Theodora couldn't care less if some eggheads measured my brains or not. It's not about the seal on the forehead, you get it? It's about what is in your gut. If it's rotten or not. My gut is stronger than the adamantine on this here ship, and my implants are better than the ones they put in you on your Terra. If they weren't, I wouldn't have lived as long as I have. Idira bares her teeth in a savage grin, a febrile gleam in her eye. That is not the right way to talk to the rogue traitor. Do we have no option to follow up on that, on this blatant heresy? Where do you come from? Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Corona's expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best. Astronomicon, the psychic beacon that helps navigators to triangulate a course for their void ships through the warp. And Astronomicon is powered by the dying body of the God Emperor. And once he dies, either God Emperor ascends to the warp as the God of Humanity, or the humanity is completely screwed because Astronomicon is kind of really important. Idira looks at you blankly. I think that's enough. The rest doesn't matter. Who I was, what I did, it doesn't matter. What matters now is that I serve you, faithfully and with no mistakes. What's it like, being a psycho? Risky. Too risky. I'm glad we found a way to reduce that risk. For me, and for you, and for everybody else. Did you know Theodora von Valencia as well? Idira shakes her head. None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was also always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off that if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through an airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked. Idira's eyes darken and a strange otherworldly expression comes over her face. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valencias gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me, and the path between them. I still think I can hear her voice. Idira lets out a sharp breath and shakes her head. Things are strained between you and Regenta, isn't that right? Sorry, if there is ever a choice, I'm taking the side of Regenta. The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices, ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. Idira falls silent, and then, in a different voice, adds. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head. You know what? When we had that illusion of Theodora and the fire, Ageta was completely right. So Idira, talk less shit. I must take my leave. Of course, always at your service, whenever you need me. Yeah. Having a psyker among us is nice, but Argenta more than proven her value and the value of her convictions. Okay, I guess we can go down the elevator to Lord Captain quarters. And I would like to do that before we proceed to our next destination. Let me save. What do we have here? Okay, no, the markers are just wrong. They are completely wrong. This hefty tome contains the schematics of the flagship of House von Valencius, of the House von Valencius, in addition to a plethora of notes, copies of reports, and other documents. Okay. This majestic portrait, painted by a skilled artist, greets guests who have been granted permission to enter Lord Captain's quarters. Do we get to replace it with our portrait? The coat of arms of House von Valencius is crowned with the rest of the Oath of the Rogue Traders, with the text, the Oath of the Rogue Traders, the Emperor's faithful servants. Okay, I'm still getting bugs from the bridge guards, which is telling me that we are actually secretly still on the bridge. We didn't load into a new location. We just kind of spawned in a hidden area. The position of the pieces on the board suggests that this game of regicide was interrupted. The winner was never determined. The glinting of the displayed weapons is mesmerizing. You have never seen many of these articles before. This fine sculpture made from a strange metal seems to be absorbing any rays of light that fall upon it. Liturgies of the Faithful to his word and name. The text below this solemn heading looks noticeably faded. It appears that the prayer book has been kept open on this page for a very long time. Theodora, you had to have... If only you were more pious, maybe the Emperor would have protected you. Okay, so this is our quarters. The ticking of this bulky clock sounds too quiet for its size. Reasonable complaint. Here is our crap. What else do we have here? The light glinting of the polished skull of some unknown Xenos makes it seem like the bony grimace is mocking you. Actually, we have a last pistol. Let's dual wield it here. Okay, looking good. Are there penalties for dual wielding? I guess are there? I don't know. I would guess not, since it's like common style of 40k art to have a commissar with a sword and a pistol, but who knows? This is a new rule set to me. The long-dead eyes of this fierce monster forever capture the fear and pain of its final moments. The water's coming murmurs and the warm steam feel inexplicably deceptive. A moment of weakness and rest promises nothing but danger. Okay, what else do we have? Our bedroom. Beyond the stained glass, the darkness of endless space, the faraway stars glimmer, filling you with an odd sense of dread. It's probably the nuttiest aspect of Warhammer that people just have glass windows in space. Like, yeah, that's normal. Not dangerous at all. Yeah, just glass. Maybe it's a special space glass. Alright. Well, we have had an extensive section on the bridge, and in the next episode, we will proceed into the Coronos Expanse and try to find ourselves a navigator. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Goodbye.